Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 566 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. Coming up on the show, Neil from Nellysdelhi lets us know what they're up to, creating new ideas whilst they currently can't open down at the marketplace in Wolverhampton. But as soon as they're back, there'll be some fantastic vegan food on offer to purchase down there. We'll have a natter with the team from Scaretrack as Mikey and Hannah join us to tell us about their online antics. We'll be hearing from Mrs. Harris. She is the principal at Paul Hayes Academy. Not only are they teaching their kids whilst they're currently away from school, but also raising funds for charity too, so finding out about that one. We'll be having a natter with Missy from Myth of Unity. They've got a brand new single on the way, so we'll be hearing from them. Tom Xander, who's currently appearing in the West End, well, as soon as it reopens, we'll be talking a bit about his career and how he got to where he is now. We'll be having a natter with Adam C. Booth. Of course, you will know him as a very funny comedian. We'll be having a natter with him about what's going on in his world. Plus, we'll be joined by Stu Goldcrusher to talk about his fundraising efforts and what his plans are for the rest of the year. James Clarke from WV11 lets us know about some of the community groups working in and across the city. And we'll have a chat with Joe James Thomas. Plus, he'll be performing a tune. As well as that, Liam O'Connell lets us know about his latest single release. That's all on the way on this week's show. Myth of Unity have got some fantastic new music out there. To tell me more, I'm joined now by Missy B. Hello.
Hello, Jason. You okay?
I'm good. And how are you getting on with you and being a little socially distanced from your bandmates at the moment?
Yeah, it's quite hard actually. I didn't realise how much time we actually spent together until this. It's actually quite annoying as well because we all live like within streets away from each other, but we still can't see each other. So.
Well, there's the Zoom and Skype and all that sort of thing to keep in touch, and it hasn't stopped you being able to bring new music out, because I know you've been working for some time on the current project. For those who don't know the history, give us the background to the whole band.
So, I mean, we got together on April Fool's Day 6 years ago, and we've been working really hard. I mean, we started out doing lots and lots of gigs, you know, Christmas light switch-ons. Done some releases, but then we decided about a year ago to just take a bit of a stand back from the gigs a little bit.
Yeah.
And we've been writing, just constantly writing, and we're at about 45 songs now. So we've got a great catalogue, and we just want to release them now.
Well, this is it. They're sitting there poised, ready to go. And the way the music's come together, you've sort of grown with each other and with the songs, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's just a natural progression, isn't it? It's just, I think we've gone through so many genres. And yeah, I don't know how much you've heard, but we've been down the drum and bass route, we've been down the garage route, we've done dubstep, and it's all been like a learning curve. And then now we're kind of at this place where we all feel really natural, and it just feels good what we're writing. It feels right.
Well, shout out to the rest of the band then. Give us names and who does which bit.
So we've got Trix. He's the rapper. He's currently quarantining himself right now. And we've got DJ Kelly. He's currently in the studio right now. Still, he's isolated himself in our studio, and he's just been writing song after song after song. It's amazing how much you can get done when you're actually forced to stay inside.
Absolutely, yeah. No more trips to Tesco's. You've got to get everything focused and get on with it.
Yeah.
With the work that you've been doing, I know you've been getting recognition. I mean, the Christmas light switch on thing sounds like incredible fun, whatever happens, and I know you wouldn't normally give that up for the world either. But you've been doing quite a lot of personal appearances right up until things went on to lockdown. So have you still got that sort of interaction with your audience through social media at the minute?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Everybody's still really supportive, and it's kind of strange the way we've still got fans from back when we were doing all this weird music when we thought it sounded good, but it didn't. And those fans, I don't know why we thought it was good, but for some reason people liked it, or they liked us, and those fans have stuck with us, and they've seen how our songwriting's progressed and how we've progressed, and I just think that's really nice.
And with the songwriting and the way you're collaborating together on this, obviously you've got the studio being filled with new music at the moment. When do you get to have your input into that, and how does it work in the developmental stages of these songs?
Basically, luckily a year ago we decided to set up like little studios in our bedroom, me and Trix, so that we could do all our vocals at home, send them to Carl, and then Carl can... We was doing it all in the studio, but it seemed a bit of a waste of time.
Well, you can get such good quality sound at home, can't you, these days?
Well, yeah, and we've put money into it. You know, we've saved up and we've put money into quality mics and, you know, the right stuff that we need. So luckily we did that, because if we didn't, we'd be stuck now. We wouldn't be able to go to the studio, and we'd get in trouble, wouldn't we, for going breaching the guidelines. With
the single then, so You Know Where to Go, tell us all about that.
So it was basically just a bit of an empowering like breakup song. It's, from my perspective, I wrote it about, you know, not letting someone dictate what you do, who you are. And basically in the song I'm saying, well, do you know what, I'm calling the shots now, so if you don't like it, you can go. Or you don't like it, you know where to go, bye. It's like that type of thing, you know what I mean?
And written out of some particularly personal experiences, or just a general overall? There's no one we ought to avoid naming here, is there? Oh,
I did write it about an actual relationship that I had a few years ago. So I think that's why it was so easy to write, because I just thought of that person's face and just wrote it.
and when you are able to get back out there and start performing in public again, what plans do you have? I mean, do you enjoy a good stage set? Do you like to, you know, really interact and put this thing big on stage?
We really, 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 really love being on stage and interacting with the crowd, but I think we've had to take this time out to write all these songs, because it was just so hectic doing gig after gig. There was just no time in between to write songs, so definitely when we finish the album, hopefully we'll go on tour and be able to reach people in other countries as well.
But I mean, you've got 45 songs. I mean, that's going to be one absolutely massive album if you let those out into the wild all in one go.
Well, I don't think we're going to do it in one go, because I think people will be very, very... They'll be like, no, that's enough, thank you. No, I think, I mean, there's songs in there as well that probably we don't want to release right now. It's not the right time. You know, the way the charts move and the way the music evolves. We've got some songs that we really think are relevant right now, so we're going to go with those ones. But the ones in the catalogue, they will be released at some point. But I think for the album, it'll probably be about 12 songs.
You're going to go for it and choose those songs which mean the most to you now. And that's the thing. In every music genre, actually, it is music that speaks to people. And you're doing that as well. You're used to working closely with your fan base. And that just brings you new fans each time people hear your tracks.
Yeah, definitely. It really does.
So where can people go to find out what's going on, pick you up on the socials, as well as actually buy the music?
Yeah, so there's no pre-order on this. We've decided no messing about. Just get it straight out. Everyone's in lockdown. We might as well just put some music out. So you can get it from any platform. All you have to do is type in Myth of Unity. It'll just pop up straight away. And also the video will be premiering on Facebook on the 1st of May at 7 o'clock.
So make sure you are on the Myth of Unity Facebook page then. And of course you can follow them on Twitter as well. Get all the latest goings on. Have you got an Insta page?
Yep, it's just at Myth of Unity. You just type it in and everything comes up.
Away you go. Well, do enjoy the releases. We're going to enjoy listening to your work. And, you know, let's look forward to great things as we head through the next 12 to 18 months.
Oh, I hope so. I hope everything's great for everyone as well. You know, it's strange times, isn't it?
It is.
I hope that everything can kind of bring somebody some sort of new perspective on life. You know what I mean?
And in the case of this song, you can show them how they should break up with someone they've got fed up of spending times with in isolation.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't suggest breaking up with someone in isolation.
No, that'd be good.
That'd be pretty hard to do. So
maybe listen to the lyrics and use it for strength later in your life. Meanwhile, Missy, thank you for joining us. Keep up the great work, and we're looking forward to so much more from Myth of Unity.
Oh, thanks, Jason.
Now, the team at Scaretrack may not be able to go out and frighten people in real life, but they've been doing some interesting stuff on video. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Mikey and Hannah. Hello to you both.
Hello, hi Jason, thanks for having us on.
Well, always good to talk to you. And what has been going on in the Scaretrack world? Because with a little bit of a hiatus earlier on in the year, your fans are keen to have you back up and doing as much as possible, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a weird one because we had sort of a month off or so just to recharge those batteries. We went through a lot of stuff in real life as such, so it was time to get back to scaring. And the day we released sort of like our comeback sort of content was kind of the day, it was the week where the whole world started to shut down. So my timing couldn't have been worse. But we're quite lucky that we're mainly a podcast platform. So we can, similar to yourself, we can do lots of interviews with people, which is great. The video side of things, it's just got a little bit more fun, more cheerful, really.
More what you can do from home.
More what can you do from home, like out of each other and sharing it with the world. And doing some quarantine Olympics. We recreated a scene from Saw the other day just for fun.
That is still unfortunately with me. However, that was shocking. But I mean, it is about having a bit of a giggle. And I mean, you guys are used to some of the major scare attractions. So I mean, I assume you're missing some of the fun that you would normally get up to when you're actually out and about.
We are, yeah. I mean, lots of people ask. First of all, people ask, "What is a scare attraction?" I kind of explain like, when Alton Towers has their scary people jumping out at you at Halloween. And that's sort of how I explain it to people. And that's when people start going, oh, I know what one is now. And people might think, oh, well, is that only at Halloween? Is it only in October? And don't get me wrong, October is our favourite month of the year because there's so many. But we do have plenty of all year round attractions. We were lucky enough to get to Passage del Terror in Blackpool on its opening weekend. But after they had 2 opening weekends, they've closed. All the dungeon attractions, as the London, Warwick, Edinburgh, the Blackpool Tower dungeon, all those are closed. And we go to lots of sort of out of season zombie events as well. We were supposed to be going to a Scare Kingdom event up in Blackburn for Walpurgis Night, which is halfway to Halloween. And yeah, unfortunately, all of those have had to go on hold for now.
But it doesn't mean they won't be back, and it does mean that during this time, you guys will be thinking up some interesting ideas on stuff that you want to do, but equally, there'll be a load of people working on some great new content and being ready to put it out there as soon as possible. And I mean, there must be some really quite frightening stuff. Now, it's controlled frightening, but even so, it can still shock, can't it?
Oh, terrifying. I mean, Hannah is the biggest screamer I know. You're always screaming.
But there's certain things I won't do, certain things that are too scary, whereas to your average Joe, I do really scary things.
Yeah, there's lots of different levels of scare. There's some that you could take kids round. There's some that you'd say are more for a teenager market. And then you'll say there's some that...
Well, we were supposed to be at one a week ago today.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to an overnight. It's called Scream Camp. It's the UK's only overnight 10-hour long.
I'm not sure whether it being cancelled was a good thing for me.
For you, yeah. But it's an overnight, and that's quite an intense experience where you're camping overnight with some very scary people. So yeah, all those people that they're going on hold, they're finding different ways to fund their businesses right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully, in Halloween, come back with a bang.
Absolutely, and it's a chance for everyone to earn some money doing what people absolutely love and adore. And I mean, it is very theatrical as well, isn't it? And with the whole fake blood thing and some of the images I've seen, and people who I know are friends with when you've shared stuff on Instagram, there is some really fun gore rather than the nasty real world stuff. And it is quite nice just to enjoy maybe a little bit of the horror movie which we know is made up in real life without obviously some of the horrors that we see in the press.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all a part of the my key word is escapism. You know, people go to theme parks, or they go to the cinema, or they go bowling, or they skydive. It all depends on what kind of escapism you want and how high you want to go up on that immersive scale, or on the escapism or on the people who are thrill seekers, you know. And you can, if you wanted to go to a theme park, you could spend all day on the teacups, or you could spend all day riding roller coasters. And we find that that's sort of the best analogy to show what we do. We will go on these scary experiences, but some are quite light-hearted, scary. And I'll be honest, the biggest thing that comes out of these scare attractions when people actually run for the door, it's not screams or cries, it's laughter. It's the comedy side of things. I laugh at Hannah when she gets scared, vice versa. So, like you say, yeah, rather than seeing all the horrors on TV, which we all need to see, we all need to be updated on, but we do like to sometimes, you need to switch off. And even though many of us might be in the same four walls, we're quite lucky we have technology like we do to be able to do other things to basically give us those frights or those horrors. We've got lots of escape rooms currently doing online experiences now, which is great. Room Escape Southend started that up. There's something new called the Pandora Network from our friends at Faceless Ventures. They were supposed to be doing immersive theatre throughout this whole month, and they can't, so they've created a whole online network. So it's all about finding other ways to get the scare that, like you say, isn't quite real life stuff, is it?
Yeah.
But I mean, Hannah, when it comes down to some of the stuff that you've seen and that you do when you're part of the team, I mean, it is about having a laugh, being interacting and stuff. And what's the most frightening thing that you've seen, both at one of these events and in the recent online stuff?
Well, for me, like, everyone's fears are different. The way I look at scare attractions is I look at it as a piece of theatre, so it's a piece of entertainment. So going through it tells a story. So there's never any part of it where I'm like, this is too much. But there's certain aspects that I'm terrified of, like chainsaws. That is where it's funny, scary, but you are in that blind panic where you are running for the door. And I think that sort of translates into the scariness of the world right now. Is I myself am in a blind panic, but keeping as calm as possible.
Absolutely. And you've been camera operator to some of Mikey's weird videos he's been doing recently. How have you coped with that?
It's really broken up the days.
I thought you were going to say broke up our marriage.
It's really, it's kind of like we were just sitting around watching telly, binge watching Netflix, that kind of thing, and then we got invited to do these quarantine Olympics, is what we've called them. And it's really like we've spent times thinking, oh God, what are we going to do? And then times where we've just gone away and done things separately. Mikey did one the other day where he pretended to be me. And I had no idea what he was doing, but he walked past me with all my alcohol. So I should have guessed straight away that he was doing me.
But again, there's a community out there that is sharing this stuff. You're sharing it with them. You've got personal closed groups as well. And it is about a bit of entertainment. And you guys, I know, enjoy talking about that on the podcast. So how do people find that, and what can they expect?
So you can find absolutely everything Scaretrack related on our website at www.scaretrack.co.uk. That's sort of the hub for everything. Obviously, our videos that we do when we're out and about, our podcast, lots of interview episodes, discussion episodes, and we've got all our on-location stuff as well. So if people are thinking, well, I'm looking forward to finally getting out of the house in, maybe late summer or Halloween, you can listen back to a few older episodes of when we've been to the likes of Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, and Extreme Scream, those sort of places. But social media is where we're on there daily, really. We're on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for Scaretrack. And we quite like interacting. We're quite, we try and be as professional as we can, but then we realise that we're not all the time. And I think people like that. They like that there's a personal aspect on there. We like chatting to people who are like-minded. They like the scary stuff, but they like theme parks, they like immersive theatre. And Well, I think we've created quite a nice community over the years.
I like to think so.
Over on Facebook, it's all quite nice. It's all quite cheerful. So the more the merrier. Join us on our social media and have a bit of fun during lockdown.
Mm-hmm. And just be prepared for strange videos of Mikey doing odd stuff. I think that's the bit you need to be most worried about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or dressing up like my wife for a video.
Yeah, I'm not going to look for that one. However, have a great time with it. Give us those web details again.
So again, www.scaretrack.co.uk. That takes us straight to our website, and all our links to see absolutely everything is all on there.
Well, Hannah and Mikey, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Liam O'Connell's been part of several bands across the Midlands for probably longer than he cares to remember. He is currently sharing some of those magical musical moments online. He joins me now to tell me more. Hello, sir.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm all right. Good to see you. And are you looking well?
Thank you very much. And yourself?
Well, so what's going on in your world then? Because you've been prolific, I think, is a good phrase, in the amount of music you've produced over the years.
Yeah, well, you could say that, although I did have quite a break until recently. Originally started with Leven Creed, as you well know, through the music we did for Wolves, the song we did for Wolves, Brighter Days. But then I had quite a bit of a break, and I wrote a couple of books, believe it or not, motivational speaking books, as I was doing quite a lot of motivational speaking for a while. And then only around about 3 years ago, got back with Richard, the keyboard player from Leven Creed, and we just recorded an EP for release. We should be out soon.
New music, we like that idea. But the back catalogue is out there too. As you mentioned, Leven Creed, there was Van O'Connell, there's all sorts of other bits and pieces you've done over the years.
That's right.
And this, are you self-influencing now, if there were such a thing?
Yes, you could say so, yeah. I'll tell you, talking about some of the back catalogue as well with Leven Creed, and then you mentioned Alex Van. I was listening back to that because I've recently uploaded everything to my Bandcamp site, and hoping very soon to actually be able to put stuff on iTunes, Spotify. I'm just waiting for that to come through. So I was listening again to all the albums and listening to the one we did with that. It's called Van O'Connell, as you mentioned, and I just it was fantastic. Really, I was listening to a lot of the songs were written by Alex, 3 or 4 of them by me, and a couple of joint ones. But that was a really cool album, and it was very acoustic. But we recorded it at Magic Garden in Wolverhampton with Gavin Monaghan, who's just amazing. He's recorded with all sorts of great people. One of my favourite bands from Birmingham, the Twang, and all sorts of people. So it was great going back through the back catalogue, looking through stuff and seeing what was there.
Yeah, when it came down to the days of Leven Creed, you had quite an impressive band even then, though, didn't you?
Yeah, thanks for saying that. It was incredible. It took a couple of different formations. Initially, I worked with somebody called Paul Hodson, who's brilliant producer and musician. We got the first Maybe Tomorrow album by Leven Creed, which was really a vehicle for me, my songs really, my songwriting, working with some great musicians. And then from there, I put a band around that, the first version of Leven Creed, which played at Ronnie Scott's in Birmingham, and we even did the main fiddler going in London. And started to get and the Little Civic, Wolfram Hall, all sorts of places. So we only did originals. So we really did have quite a big following, and actually we signed a small record deal. At one point we were watched by Polydor, and we had real skirmishes with, not quite making it big, but some real skirmishes with trying very hard to. So yes, and then the final line of Leven Creed was the album Inside Out, which Kerry Davis sang vocals on. It was got a lot of beautiful South influence in there, which I missed. I should have said we also did an EP as the first lineup of Leven Creed, with John Brough from the Beautiful South. He's their engineer and producer. That was just a brilliant experience again, and that's on the site. And as I say, finishing up with the Leven Creed version 2 with Inside Out, the album, which was brilliant. We had the brass section playing on that, the Beautiful Sounds, and just I think that's probably one of my favourites, really, that we've done so far.
Yeah, because I mean, those guys are on the road still as the South, and they're doing some fantastic music there with not only beautiful South tracks, but again, more original stuff. And I could never understand why you didn't make it big, why I'm not talking to somebody who I can barely get a chance to talk to now because you are so famous. And I was on the one occasion I got to introduce you at the Mac in Birmingham. That was just a real night for me, but it was still a fantastic gig.
Yeah, I'll never forget that night either. And thanks for saying that, Jodie. I know we got so close, and I still have people listening to the music who constantly say to me, I just don't understand why Leven Creed or why you didn't make it. But the main thing is, you know, we enjoyed what we did, and that night was particularly incredible. I think we probably had 9 or 10 piece band as Leven Creed in that lineup, with Kerry singing vocals with me. Brass section again, wasn't it, live?
It was.
And we sold out. We sold out that match that night. It was just an amazing gig. In fact, I have got 5 or 6 live tracks from that night, which I'm going to try and edit them and put them out on my Bandcamp site, hopefully in the next month or so. So that's on the agenda as well. So that's been captured, some of that.
So, I mean, fantastic stuff. And, I mean, the bit I enjoyed was the day we recorded the video for the Brighter Days track down at Molyneux. That was a good giggle.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? What a fantastic day. We were running around the stadium. We were by the Billy Wright statue, inside, outside, even on the pitch at some point. I don't know whether it was the same day.
We did half-time penalty shootout, which was embarrassing for Dan, wasn't it? But there we go.
Oh, yeah, Wolfie in goal.
Yeah.
I actually, my dream came true when I scored a goal in front of the South Bank. I actually scuffed it into the corner. It rolled as slow as you could possibly imagine. Just crossed the line and Wolfie dived the wrong way. But I'll never forget that in front of the South Bank. It was great.
Yeah, and there's a great reaction to the song. It sold well to the club and the club shop. So, I mean, where do we go to hear all of this stuff now? And of course, that new EP.
Yeah, well, Bandcamp. So it's Liam O'Connell. If you put Liam O'Connell into Google, and just to be sure, if you put Liam O'Connell Choices, that's one of my compilation albums, you'll definitely get me straight away. Go on to Bandcamp. Everything's there at the moment. Well, 1 or 2 things still to put up there. And we're still waiting for this new release to come through, which is called Don't Surrender. Another moniker, which is O'Connell Jones, Richard Jones, my keyboard player, as I mentioned. It's a 4-tracker, 3 songs by myself, 1 by Rich, although we've taken joint songwriting credits because it was a good partnership thing going on there. Yeah. And that will be out, well, it's really, really soon, hopefully just to confirm a few things. And that's quite acoustic, a lot of piano, a lot of acoustic guitars, and sort of, a bit of good, real laid-back vibe, but with some interesting lyrics I think people would find. So it's all on Bandcamp, but hopefully very, very soon, again, I'm just waiting for some for things for approval. Spotify will be on, it should be on iTunes, all of that, and the back catalogue as well, or most of the back catalogue, will finally be available digitally properly. Which, it's going to be great. It's lovely for me to see that it'll be out there anyway, for people to listen to as much as possible.
Well, I've loved your work for many years. Looking forward to the new stuff. Go and check him out. This guy and the amazing people he's worked with as well. Absolute top quality performers. Liam O'Connell, thank you for joining us.
Cheers, Jason. Brilliant to see you. Thanks.
Known not only for his appearance on TV and in the media, but also for his fantastic charity work, Stu Goldcrusher joins me now for a bit of a chat about what's going on with his world. Hello, sir.
How are you, sir? Lovely to see you this morning.
Well, good to see you too. So, what's going on at the moment? Because many of the things that you'd normally be working on are on a bit of a break at the moment, aren't they?
Well, talking what's happened over the last year and a half, I haven't done much really. I've been working behind the scenes because, as I say, my dad was 86. He had Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, capital. So I ended up being his carer. So you're talking. What I've done is I've done a lot of charity work, like setting up Promise Dreams alongside the world famous Donna's Dream House in Blackpool to send children from Shropshire and the Midlands over to Blackpool for free holidays. And as I say, I've been working on Get Nice and Weapons Off the Street with Wayne Adjawani. Wayne Adjawani is a cinematic photographer.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best in the country. Well, I've joined forces with Wayne, and Wayne, he actually filmed me in the film Jessie, what was filmed at Busby Gymnasium. That's Wayne Harper's place. Then he also filmed me in Freakish. Well, Jessie has just won an award on YouTube. And then from there we did Freakish, that's an horror movie.
Yeah.
The Freakish has won an Hollywood award, horror award in Hollywood.
Excellent.
So that's fantastic. I was going to be in Dick Turpin, but I've pulled out of that one at the moment.
Right. Yeah, and obviously everything's a bit up in the air at the minute. But I mean, over the years, have you got any idea how much money you've actually raised for charity? Because it must be an amazing number.
158,000.
Which is good, isn't it? I mean, you must be really proud of that, and so many deserving causes.
But what we actually do there is, you're talking, I use the Stu Goldcrusher name, go into a venue, and from there do the advertising for the school or the charity and that. And then it's like, because I'm performing, like lifting 22 stone Aquas balls or pulling trams in Blackpool or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I let the charity get involved with me, and they do all the collection side of things, the money side of things. So what I say to them then is, you're talking, whatever you raise on the day, just put a letter through to me saying how much I've helped you raise.
And that all goes towards a fantastic total like that.
When you're doing performing arts, as I say, like when I pulled the tram in Blackpool, that was in 2003. That was 19 ton. I did that one for cancer research. After I finished doing that, the body was zero tolerance. All I wanted to do was sleep in the afternoon.
I can imagine they have to pull in a tram, but there we go. But I mean, you've appeared on TV doing some fantastic stuff as well. I mean, when you did the lift with Ant and Dec, I mean, that must have been a fun moment too. Yeah.
Now, Ant and Dec, absolutely a fantastic team. Now, through my agent in London, I've actually got Simon Cowell's address, Manda Holden's address, Liam Gallagher address, Robbie Williams, David Williams, Piers Morgan and Anton Dec. I've got all their addresses in London. So now what I'm doing is I'm dealing with Psycho and putting things in the post directly to Simon's house.
Yeah, so when you've got an event coming up or there's something that you're working on, and this is stuff that they'll be interested in working with you on, I'm sure, then you can talk to them directly. And I mean, this is, again, a measure of the good work that you've done and how well received each thing that you do and each event you work on goes. I mean, what is it that you'd like to do, and what have you got planned for as soon as we're out of lockdown?
Well, what I'm doing is, at the moment, as I say, I've teamed up with Wayne Adjawani, Get Nice and Weapons Off the Street. Me and Wayne went down to London, and we performed at a show free of charge for a bloke called Rocky Toriani. And Rocky Toriani, he is a fantastic lad, fantastic charity worker, love him from the heart, brilliant lad. Well, while I was at his show, I met them all. I met Joe Egan. You're talking from there. Frank Bruno was there, and all the top names. Well, after I finished that show, because I dedicated my free time, me and Wayne dedicated our free time to that show. Half of London's added us. So I've got a better position in London to work my charity stuff that way. But also, we've teamed up with a bloke called Ross Heath and CJ Livermore down in Manchester. Now, Ross has brought out a film called Sharp Point. And the Sharp Point film, it's unbelievable. When I watched it, it's gone for an Hollywood award, that one has as well. But can't say too much on it because it's still in the rankings to win. Right, but also, Ross he's going to be bringing out a film called Brutally Tormented.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have some big actors in that alongside Joe Egan. I think it's Dave Courtney, Billy Blanks from America, and all sorts of people. We had Paul Grant of Star Wars. He was in the first set of Jesse as well when we filmed that Bushford Gymnasium. Now, what we're trying to do is Wayne Harper's let us use Bushford Gymnasium. So, because my dad's passed away, I'm going to be buying like £8,000 worth of film and equipment. I'm going to be teaming that up in London. I'm going to be filming Rocky shows for nothing. Joe Egan is going to do a fight. He's fighting somebody for the NHS.
Yeah.
So me and Wayne will go down there and film his show for him free of charge because he's a fantastic lad. And then from there, when I do something big this way alongside Bushford Gymnasium, then Rocky and Joe have already turned around and says they'll come to the Midlands to help me whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, well, and Joe's an absolutely fantastic fella. I met him a few weeks just before lockdown, and had a great chat with him down at Wolverhampton Racecourse. So, no, brilliant stuff there. Great to hear everything you've got on the way. Where do people go to find you on social media?
You can get me at StuGoldcrusher@gmail.com. You can get me on Facebook. You can get me on LinkedIn. I'm going to be advertising more on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be throwing pretty shortly. I'm going to be throwing Facebook campaigns as well.
Okay. So look out for all of that. But for now, Stu Goldcrusher, thank you for joining us and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. Can I just mention something else? Many years ago, we did Wolverhampton's Top Talent. That was at the Grand Theatre.
It was.
Me and Wayne are looking to put something together like that in the future.
Okay, well, I enjoyed hosting Wolverhampton's Top Talent down at the Grand. Always happy to host on a charity event, so let me know when that's coming up and I look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, we can use you at that one most definitely, sir.
See you soon. Have a good time, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Joe James Thomas should have been out and about on tour with a Black Country Night Out. He's recently done a Black Country Night In for the Black Country Lockdown Open Mic channel. However, he joins me now for a bit of a chat as well. Hello, sir.
Hello, Jason. You all right?
I'm good. You all right?
I'm good, yeah.
Fantastic. Now, you've been singing online, performing in as many homes as they'll have you, and people still loving your music even though we can't get out and see you in real life.
Yeah, I have been. It's been strange. It's been really strange. You know, singing and no one, you know, in front of me, sort of thing. You know, it's strange.
But you've got the cameras there. People are watching, and you know that, and they're enjoying the songs as much as ever. And knowing you and the regularity with which you randomly learn a new instrument. Have you learned anything new during this lockdown period, or have you just kept it with the guitar and piano that you pretty much taught yourself anyway?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm still, I'm always learning new things on the guitar, ukulele, piano, but I've been learning more, I've been learning more stuff on the piano, or I'm trying to learn new stuff.
But you've not been tempted to dig out a new instrument, you know, order a harp off Amazon and start playing that?
Someone's asked me this before, funnily enough, and I'm not too sure what my next instrument would be. It might be I've always thought of the double bass.
Yeah.
You know, the standard bass.
You've got the look for that as well, so I think that'll work, won't it?
Thank you.
So, I mean, what else is going on? Because, as I say, you should have been out on the road with the tour for the Black Country Night Out. And when you have been doing that, I mean, the audience has been loving the music you've been playing, haven't they?
Yeah, most of my gigs have been cancelled now. I've got a few, hopefully later on this year. But even it's about 5 gigs.
Yeah, but we're waiting to see what happens when everything starts to get back to normal.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you have a guitar there, and we will get you to perform, so that's good. But this isn't the thing that you've most recently gone viral for, because you played piano in the middle of the Merry Hill Centre just before everything closed down, and that went absolutely mad online, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, to be fair. I was quite surprised. It's the most amount of views I've ever got. I was there watching it, you know, refreshing the video every 5 seconds. Oh, it was good.
So no, that was impressive in itself. But you're going to play a song for us now. What are you going to do this time?
I'll play an Eddie Cochran tune, an old rock and roll song, 20 Flight Rock. It's cool.
Oh, Joe James Thomas, take it away.
Ooh, well, I got a girl with a wrecking machine when it comes to rock, and she's a queen. Loves to dance on a Saturday night, all alone rock and hold her tight, but she lives on the 20th floor of town. The elevator's broken down, so I walk 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. On the 12, I'm starting to drag. 15, well, I'm ready to sag. Get to the top, I'm too tired to rock. Well, she called me up on the telephone, saying, come on, honey, I'm all alone. I said, baby, all night is sweet, but I'm in bed with aching feet. This went on for a couple of days, but I couldn't stay away, so I walked 1, 2, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. Until I'm ready to track. Well, 15, well, I'm trying to say, get to the top, I'm too tired of rock. Well, they said for Chicago for repairs, and it's to fix the harmony using the stairs. I hope to hurry up before it's too late. I want my baby too much to wait. All this time it is to get me down. I'm going straight over a rail, so I'll climb 1, 2, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 4. Until I'm ready to crack, we'll 15 before I'm starting to say, get to the top, I'm too tired to rock.
Joe, thank you for that, and we look forward to getting you back on stages across the area, and I know there's a lot of people who'll be looking forward to seeing more from you. Meanwhile, though, you are performing on your Facebook channel, aren't you?
On my music channel, yeah, on Joe James Thomas Music. I'm live streaming every now and then, and I've got to do one soon for the NHS. I think that's next Tuesday.
Okay, so we'll look out for that one. And but check all the details. How do people find you on Facebook? Literally
just if they type in Joe James Thomas Music, you should be there. It'll come down to a picture of me.
Guitar in hand.
One of these things.
Joe, always good to catch up with you. Look forward to getting you in the studio when everything's back to normal. Meanwhile, though, have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks very much, Jason, and you, my mate. You take care.
Somebody who grew up doing amateur theatre across the Midlands is now on the big stage in the West End to tell me more about what he's up to, a little bit at least. I'm joined now by Tom Xander. Hello, sir.
Hello, mate. You okay?
I'm good, and I trust we find you well and relaxing a little bit during this hiatus from work.
Oh, I really am. using this time as a bit of a break, to say the least.
Now, I mean, you're appearing in the West End at the moment, and this is absolutely brilliant stuff. You are a truly talented performer. We know that. We've seen you in the region in the past. But tell us a bit about your journey and how you've got to where you are now.
So I first started with music. It's my granddad that got me into music, so I started playing the violin when I was about 8 years old, and I first wanted to be a musician. So I started the violin, then I started playing piano, and then I wanted to go into some singing lessons when I was about 12. And as soon as I went to my singing lesson, I knew that was the path that I then wanted to take. And since then, it was just absolutely what I've worked towards the whole time. And I carried on singing throughout the years, joined lots of amateur dramatic societies, and carried on doing all those shows with them. And then I auditioned for Thomas Salford's sixth form to do the performing arts course, as I knew a lot of my friends who had passed on to drama school, had gone through that process, and it had been successful for them. So I thought I'd do the exact same thing, try that, and it did. And I ended up going to Mount Academy of Theatre Arts, and then I did my 3 years training there, and I had the best, worst, most amazing time all in one. And then, and it led to me going into the Book of Mormon in the West End, and I've been there now for 3 years.
Which is impressive stuff in itself, and it must be great being part of a show like that. But the pressures are there when you're doing it in the West End, aren't they? Because it is constant. You're doing so many shows. You really have to earn your money.
Oh, you really, really, really do. Don't get me wrong, though. With this content of the show, context of the show, it is such a fun, lively show, and it kind of takes a lot of the work element out of it. Don't get me wrong; it's the West End. We've got a lot of work to do, and we have constant rehearsal sessions to make sure that we're keeping on top of everything. And I think that's not as good as it has been to get back on track with that. So we still have constant rehearsal process. So it is grueling and it is hard work. But fortunately, because of the show, we get to have a lot of fun, and sometimes, it doesn't ever, well, to be honest, I don't think ever it feels like work. We have a few days when we go, oh God, this is really hard. But the majority of the time, it's we're very, very lucky to be able to call that our job. Yeah,
it is hard for the right reasons, though, which is what counts. And I mean,
absolutely,
with what you're doing, so you've got to have that level of talent there, and I know as well that you. From the way social media works, the number of people I see who are now linked in so many different ways. You're working with people who I've seen on stage at the Grand maybe 4 or 5 years ago. They're appearing in various Instagram videos and stuff that you share out there. And it's nice to be able to share a bit of behind the scenes with a bit of a wider audience, whether it's the big thing on Instagram or the slightly more friend-based stuff that you do on Facebook.
Yeah, it really is. We meet so many amazing people. And the thing with the industry, like you say, you've seen people at the Grand. The thing with the industry is it's so small. It's the same people that are working across all different shows, and you get to meet everyone pretty much. And everyone becomes one big community. So everyone kind of knows everyone. And when we it's great because we have a lot of fans for Book of Mormon, and they love seeing us backstage. They love seeing us outside of doing that. If we go for a drink or something like that, they love seeing everything. And so it's so great that social media can allow people to get that glimpse into that side of life as well.
Yeah, and some of the things you guys get up to are absolutely mad as hatters, the lot of you.
I mean, we are a lot of us are quite a crazy bunch, to say the least.
This is all part of keeping things on top of where you need to be with the pressure that you're under with a number of shows and having a social life and being and the expectations that are put on you. And it's fun. I mean, what you're doing at the moment, you're playing a role of an age that you are now. What would you like to be when you are getting older? I mean, where do you see yourself in maybe 20, 30 years' time? What roles that are around now would you like to be reprising?
I mean, it's a hard one because, there's so many roles that I would love to have a chance at having a go with. But you just never know what's going to be around at that time. But I suppose, I grew up. The reason I fell in love with musical theatre was because of the shows Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera, all the classics. Yeah. I say classics, I mean the ones that have been around the longest, that everyone kind of...
The ones that have been around longer than you've been on this earth, as it is.
Exactly.
It seems like 5 minutes to me. I remember when they were new, so,
But yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to the actual classics like Carousel and Oklahoma and those sort of stuff, and that's kind of where my voice is naturally set to sing, because I grew up singing that sort of stuff from my singing teacher. And I would love to do those kind of shows. I'd love to do, in the future, I'd love to be a Billy Bigelow. I'd love to play Phantom. I'd love to play Valjean. Those sort of roles I'd absolutely love to do because for my voice type, ironically, that's not what I use in Mormon, but my natural where I naturally sing in my voice type, I would love to do those kind of roles. But however, having said that, the thing that excites me the most would be new theatre and new roles, and to see what would be out in 20 years' time would be an extremely exciting thing to do. And to be able to go, oh, I know this is coming, I'd love to play that one, but unfortunately we never do. So we just have to wait for those to happen.
Okay, time will tell. Anything could happen. There'll be people writing away in lockdown now, and the time it takes to get something to the stage.
It's probably going to be an absolute surge of new writing that's going to come next year, because people will be absolutely crazy writing everything.
Well, let's say this, long may great new writing continue. Long may your career continue to impress.
Thank you.
And where can people go to find you and the rest of your gang on social media?
So I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Tom Xander 2, because someone else already took Tom Xander. So I'm on there, and then you can follow us on the Book of Mormon UK website and the Instagram and Twitter handles as well, and you'll be able to see all our antics that we get up to over there.
Oh, fantastic stuff, Tom. Lovely to speak to you. We look forward to seeing you on stage soon. Ta-ra for now.
And you. Bye-bye.
Paul Hayes Academy have been working hard throughout the lockdown to make sure their pupils are not only educated but also doing their bit for their community too. They've recently been fundraising for Walsall Manor Hospital, and to tell me more I'm joined now by the principal, Mrs Harris. Hello.
Good morning to you all. Hope you're all safe and well.
Fingers crossed everybody is just at the moment, and I know you guys have got a massive team of teachers down there, all of whom are busily working away to keep everybody educated whilst they're working from home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of the whole team at Paul Hayes Academy, because everyone, it's a whole team effort since the news, obviously, and before that, to be honest, before the news that we were closed down, we've all been busily working every day. So we've got staff in contact with students every day, obviously setting work, assessing the work, doing everything possible really to make sure that the learning's not disrupted as far as possible. So really great team there, yeah.
And now, I know it is a particularly fine establishment, as it is 30 years this year since I left, having completed my A-levels and went off to university. It was called Paul Hayes Community School back in the day, but the badge is the same, and the ethos of doing the best for the pupils is as well, isn't it?
That's it, you know, our values is making sure that everyone achieves regardless of background. Everyone's got the same opportunities, and as you can see, as a former student yourself, you can go on to great things in life. So yeah, that is a part of their ethos and their trust ethos as well.
And I mean, the moment things have been interesting too, because there's been a reading challenge, which is how your librarian got in touch with me last week to let us know about what was going on there. And this has all been to raise funds, and has some good sponsors as well who've been helping out the cause. Yeah,
that was it. I mean, we always wanted to make sure that apart from the work that we're doing at home, reading was something we got a big priority in Paul Hayes. So then we're thinking about how could we encourage our students to read at home for pleasure as much as with their work they're doing in lessons. And so Mrs Plimmer, the librarian, got in contact with Walsall Healthcare NHS, and they were doing a challenge on a Thursday evening from 7 till 8 before our Clap for Carers. They're doing it every Thursday now. And we have had Year 7 get on board with this for sponsorship. And local companies like Blakemore and Sons have also sponsored us as well. And we did that Thursday gone. Staff got involved, students got involved, and it was so successful. We're going to now continue with it every Thursday.
And details of all these sort of things can be found on the school's social media channels. Now, this is something we didn't have when I was at school. We had a newsletter, which would occasionally get put out to the community. But these days, you're open to being able to interact with the community in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's very, very active, our social media account, because as you can understand, we get updates almost daily from the government and direction then we need to move. And so it's allowed us to be able to get news out to parents and carers and students straight away using our Twitter and our Instagram feed at Paul Hayes Acad. That also goes onto our website. We do still try and send letters, but as you can imagine with letters, sometimes the news has changed since the letter was given out. The social media is right on the pulse news feed.
So, you know, it's the world is slightly different than the world of teaching from when I was there many moons ago. And I mean, I'm guessing you're just a little bit younger than me. So, you know, it is a different world in many ways to when you were learning too. So it's interesting to see the way these things adapt. And what does it mean now that Paul Hayes is an academy compared to the community school days of old?
It means that we're part of a bigger trust. So in a mass, it brings benefits in that we're better together. So we've got 22 schools across the whole of the trust, the Academy Transformation Trust. And since the lockdown, I've had, you know, in the school, great support from all the other colleagues in our maths wide. So what it does bring to us, different to the community school, it brings to us as a trust more opportunities to be able to link with other schools across the whole trust nationwide, and ultimately they're then given to the students. We are still, though, very much community minded. So things like this initiative, working with Warsaw Healthcare, St Giles is our local charity as well that we sponsor. We've been doing a lot of things in the community as well, donating PPE equipment, for instance, links with giving out hampers to most vulnerable families. So even though we are now an academy, the community is still at our heart, very much so, and we do get very active within it, hence the conversation today about involving and supporting literacy and reading through the NHS campaign that's local to Warsaw.
And you're still working in the world of adult education as well?
At the moment, it's something, as I say, with our trust for developing adult education. We do obviously workshops for parents and carers, but they're directly linked obviously to the academy. But it is something that is in our plan to open that out to the local community as a whole. So that is something, that we want to get really involved with.
Because I mean, there's great facilities down there. There always were. I'm sure that's continued under your reign. Obviously, the head teachers, I remember, left some time ago, but each time you pass on a baton of the work that's been done in the school, and as we see in many schools across the region, and it is a massively important part of a child's life as they grow up. And I mean, the young adults that you're teaching there are doing brilliant things when they do go on to their further education and then into careers later on.
That's it, and we do want to create an alumni, and I've spoken about this before, because I think for role models in our school, we look at those that have been to our academy and therefore have left and become very successful. And I think since the lockdown, a lot of people have got in touch with us, NHS workers, for instance, on our social media page. Well, I think what better way when we do return to set up a formal alumni for former Paul Hayes Academy students to get together and also inspire the people that are there now at the school to think, I can achieve this in life because that person has done that and they came to this academy. I have the same opportunities as them, probably even more so now in the modern world. So I'm really looking forward to setting up that alumni very shortly.
Well, I will, fingers crossed, become one of the members of that if you'll let me. And
yeah, of course.
we look forward to getting involved in some way in that one. But for now, remind us of all the social channels so people can find out about the work you're doing. And of course, if they want to add to the coffers for the support that you're giving to Walsall Manor, how do they do that?
Brilliant. So if you follow our social media pages on Twitter and on Instagram, so it's at Paul Hayes Acad. On there, you will find the link to the Just Giving page for the Warsaw Health NHS Hair Appeal, and you can sponsor us that way, ultimately, to give better opportunities then for the NHS, who I will say, have been amazing, like we all think. And I think it just shows to us how without the NHS, we wouldn't have got through this at all. Mm-hmm. So thank you to all those workers out there, because it's something that we can never say thank you enough to. And what we're doing is something very small, but it's just a way of just saying thank you.
Well, you guys keep up the good work that you're doing down there, helping to inspire kids to go into the right career for them and give them the education they need to get there. For now, Mrs. Harris of Paul Hayes Academy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.
A familiar face on many a TV screen is that of Adam C. Booth. You've seen him on stage quite a bit at the Grand too over the years. He joins me now for a bit of a natter. Hello, sir.
Hello, how you doing? You okay?
I'm good. I trust we find you well.
Yeah, not too bad. It's all life's a bit different at the moment, but we're soldiering on.
Well, you have to cope and you have to keep going with things. And you are still quite busy, though, I take it, at the moment.
Yeah, it was that sort of thing of a bit of a shock to the system. Obviously, doing so many different types of jobs, from sort of my acting work and obviously do a bit of teaching at different colleges all around the country. So I'm always all over the place. So it was a bit of an adjustment, but yeah, no, I'm still busy. I'm still obviously it's changed things. A lot of stuff's now online, so yeah, just not moving around as much at the moment.
Now, I mean, you've been working on some great comedy, particularly in recent weeks, months, but also over the years. Give us a few of your favourite moments, some of the highlights of the stuff that you get up to when we're not in lockdown.
Well, it was quite good because obviously, I've done about 7 years of comedy, so obviously. working with Keith Lemon a lot, doing the sketch shows, and then obviously we did the Keith and Paddy picture show for 2 years with Paddy McGuinness. So you know, the comedy stuff's really kept going, and it's been great. But it was quite nice. I managed to do a little part on a drama just before lockdown, and I think that might be coming out over in the next couple of months. A drama called The Bay, which is the second series. So yeah, it was nice to do something a bit serious. Do you know what I mean? Just a change, really. Obviously, you know, my favourite is doing all the comedy, and as you know from seeing me in the pantomimes at Wolverhampton, which is another different side of the comedy, do you know what I mean, from the TV stuff, a lot of the audience participation type thing. So yeah, so you know, it was quite busy, and then obviously lockdowns happened, so it's a lot of using your phone and all that sort of thing, you know, for work these days.
Absolutely, and it's an excuse for having a decent phone as well. I mean, and suddenly, yeah, the iPhone 11 Pro definitely is something that needs to be on my tax return.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is that you know, being a performer, like an actor, a singer, whatsoever, you know, like all the technology part of it isn't my forte, and I think that's the thing that I've really had to come to terms with, even with just sort of connecting with friends and things like that, you know, things like Zoom and meetings and all them sort of things I never even heard of, and now it's become like the most important thing in my life, you know what I mean?
It's the only way you talk to some of your colleagues. But I mean, when you've done all that you've done with Panto, I mean, you get a new Panto family each Christmas, and it's been just over 12 months since you were last with us at the Grand last year. Where did you end up at that time round?
I was in High Wycombe, which was you know, obviously I work for Kudos every year, so they sort of, you know, put you in different places. So it was actually the first time I'd been that far down south, which was a bit worrying, you know, obviously, you know, as a northerner thinking, oh God, will they laugh, or will they just be like, who's this northern monkey, get off the stage? Do you know what I mean? So, but it was an absolutely great panto. We had so much fun. The audiences were great. It was quite a young cast because we had Curtis Pritchard, who was off. He'd done Love Island, and his brother's AJ Pritchard on Strictly. Yeah. So he's from a ballroom background. So it was a very sort of you know, there was lots of singing and dancing. Obviously, he did all his ballroom stuff, and then obviously I did my usual thing of all the audience participation, the song sheet at the end. So yeah, it was good. It was Dick Whittington, so it was a new one for me. I know they had Dick Whittington at the Grand as well. Yeah. So yeah, so it was a really good run. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great.
And I know you guys often go around and see different panto productions as well. Everyone seems to have a different night off, fortunately, and I think this is the reason they do it, is so you can still go and see your mates from yesteryear in a different panto somewhere else in the country.
Yeah, of course. No, it was nice. Scott Bird from Wolverhampton, he came to see us. So that was nice just to see an old friend there as well, because obviously I'd done that 2 years, so you know, I miss everybody at Wolverhampton loads, and all the audiences. If anybody's out there, hello everybody. And yeah, and obviously I think in my first year at Wolverhampton we did Aladdin, and Neil, who was the genie, who's an old friend of mine, we've done a few musicals together. Unfortunately, he was right down in Plymouth, so it was just a little bit too far to get down there. But hopefully, you know, I'll be seeing him wherever he is next year. But it's nice. It's a major panto family, and every year, whoever's doing pantos all over the country, you sort of remember that time and all sort of check in and sort of say hello to each other and say how it's all going. So yeah, no, it's a really special time of the year for me, pantomime.
And so you mentioned the Bay, which will be on our TV screens in the near future. What else should we be looking out for with you in at the moment?
I've just done a comedy pilot as well, which I can't say too much about. And it was really, I was really hoping that might have developed a bit further, but obviously through lockdown, everything's just completely shut down at the moment, which is a bit. As an actor, I mean, obviously you adjust and getting used to it now that this is just how it is at the moment. Yeah, it's you know, everything's sort of obviously gone a bit quiet, and it's a case of just being a bit more, I guess, taking that initiative to do a bit more writing, things that I never get time to do. You're obviously rushing about and doing all that, so it's been a time to sort of press that reset button and go, okay, well, I'm going to, reschedule my day a bit differently and do a bit more writing. I've had a few ideas that I've always wanted to do. So, like I say, it's just taking this time just to develop other things.
So who knows? We could see a sitcom starring you, written by you, where you'll probably sing and dance the theme tune and graphics too.
That's the dream at some point in the future, hopefully.
Fingers crossed we will see that. Meanwhile, though, we can see plenty of stuff from you in the back catalogue online.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and I think that's the thing that you can see with a lot of performers. I mean, it's not that I find it quite hard. I mean, I don't mind sort of social media and stuff. I sort of try and get out, obviously with the comedy and sketches are there for life. It's always interesting. Like, for example, me and Keith Lemon did an Ant and Dec sketch.
Yeah.
And every single time I'm a Celebrity's on, they sort of seem to come around. Or, the Great British Bake Off, we did a sketch on that. So they sort of come, and I try and get that out. But it's interesting seeing how creative a lot of performers have been at the moment, and just getting their stuff all out on social media. So I think it is a case for me. I'm just trying to, be a bit brave to maybe do that as we go forward. Okay.
Where do we find you on social media then?
Oh, Adam C. Booth on Instagram.
Yep.
And it's the same on Twitter as well. So follow me. I'm trying to build my followers. I think it's all about that at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay, check him out. He's a top fella, really nice bloke, and hugely talented, and he can dance like no one would expect him to either. And and that hair, I'm just jealous of. Adam, always good to have a natter with you. Thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you on stage and hear us sometime soon.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you. Take care.
Britain's community spirit is really coming together, but it has been present in Wednesfield for a particularly long time. Somebody who's part of the team behind a lot of those activities is James Clarke, who joins me now. Hello, sir.
Hi, Jason. How you doing?
I'm good. I trust we find you well.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Good?
Good. Yeah. So, what's going on at the moment? Because there's always plenty happening, and I know you guys down there work particularly hard through all the organisations you're involved with.
Yeah, I mean, in Wednesfield itself, there's quite a lot happening. I think from the off, once this kind of COVID-19 situation began, lots of people were looking about what they could do and how they could support people. Obviously, it's been quite hard because a lot of the traditional kind of stuff that I'm involved in, which is running a community centre, putting on community events, all that stuff's kind of had to stop. So it's taken a little while for people to kind of reevaluate and work out how they can help, given obviously all the restrictions we're under during a lockdown. So yeah, I mean, the website I run, wv11.co.uk, which has got quite a big following on Facebook, we've been putting out information to local people, basically keeping people abreast of what's going on, signposting people where we can that need support, and then out of that we've actually set up a mutual aid Facebook group. Mutual aid's a movement that's popping up all over the country as well as the city itself, which is really encouraging people to help each other. Yeah, we've got some great support from the council, we've got some support from government, but I think on a neighbourhood level, if people can get out and help their neighbours in whatever capacity they can, that's actually going to be the most have the most impact in terms of supporting people that need it at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of things that the community actually need physically, their food, etc., we're reaching probably the end of most things people panic bought, except possibly the toilet rolls. So, there is a genuine need there for us to pull together and actually get the right things to the right people all at the same time.
There is, yeah, and I think, we're fortunate in that, the shops haven't run out of stuff, really. Yeah, there was a couple of weeks where it was the panic buying kind of got in the way of things, but now the stock is there. You can go shopping, but there are people who are vulnerable, who can't get out, and they need the help. Again, there's the council, I think, are dealing with 35,000 people that were on this high risk register. Most of those are people with medical conditions, and it's great that they're getting that support. But as with any system that has limits, there's always people who kind of fall through the cracks that maybe aren't eligible or don't fit the kind of criteria. So this mutual aid group, which I've been working on with St Thomas's Church in Wednesfield, St Albans Church in Ashwell Park, as well as various other volunteers. We've had support from our local MP, local councillors, We're really just trying to provide a safety net for the people that maybe, as I say, fall through those cracks or need that little bit of extra support. But also encourage people who want to help their neighbours, advise them on how they can do that. Yes, there are restrictions around what you can do, but you can go and help other people. If you're helping vulnerable people, you are allowed to go and shop for them, pick up medicines for them, and just encouraging people to check in with their neighbours, whether it's on the phone, whether it's setting up a WhatsApp group for your street. There's lots of things you can do to kind of stay connected and just keep an eye on people without physically having to be next to them, which obviously is hard at the moment.
When it comes down to it, what we're doing now is really what you and Steph were putting together when WV11 first started.
It is, yeah, as I say, I think, and it's interesting actually, the churches have set up a telephone helpline. I haven't got the number to hand, but you can find it on WV11. And they've had a few calls and they've been doing shopping for people, and there's been some telephone befriending going on, just people who need a call. But in reality, they've not actually been overwhelmed with contact in Wednesfield, and I think that's actually, hopefully, that's a sign that the community itself is quite, resilient and is able to look after itself. And I'd like to think that the work that's been done around the community over the past 10 years, certainly I've been involved, I'd like to think this is a little bit of a sign that, what we were doing has made a difference, because there haven't been hundreds and hundreds of people in dire need, and that's really encouraging.
Absolutely. And, this hopefully will bring a greater community spirit after the events that we're going through now as well. And if we can see something positive come out of this, it will just be nice to see something aside of the awful stories we're seeing in the news so much at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a firm believer that, whenever there's something horrific happens, there's just as much good happens as bad. I've seen it happen so many times. I mean, we had relatives over in New Zealand who were in Christchurch, which had a massive earthquake 9 years ago. Hundreds of people were killed. The city was levelled pretty much. And that was a real kind of eye-opener. We were quite close. We got an insight view to that. But the amount of good that happened, people coming together, digging people's properties out of rubble, people feeding people, it always, a disaster, whatever type of disaster, it always brings out the best in people, And I think we're going to continue to see that. It's happening now. This is going to be a long haul, I think even once this initial kind of threat has passed, in reality, there's going to be a lot of psychological scarring of people in society, a long time after this event, people who've lost loved ones, people who struggled during their lockdown. So, those things that are there in the community that are helping to build resilience, they're really going to come into play once the initial threat has passed. And I think people are already starting to think now about, okay, once the lockdown is eased, once hopefully the virus has passed, then what do we do then in terms of how we support those people? Because a lot of those people that will have got through this are going to need that support further down the line.
Yeah, and sadly there'll be many cases where their usual support networks are sadly no longer with us, and that is going to be important to fill what will be a massive void in so many people's lives.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I work part-time at the Voluntary Sector Council, and we're involved quite heavily supporting charities, voluntary sector organisations. And it's been great to see them rally around those organisations, but they are all struggling because, inevitably people are going off ill, so organisations don't have the capacity they had. Funds are stretched because they're having to fund things that they wouldn't normally do. There's organisations in the city who are feeding several hundred people a week. A lot of the Gurdwaras have got together and are feeding, literally hundreds of people, because they're people that would normally go and eat at the Gurdwara, and they're going to take the food to them now. So, there's a big strain. There's lots of talk about the economy, and I think sometimes people forget that, the voluntary sector is part of the economy. It's a big part of that. And we're going to need everyone to be able to kind of survive this. So if we can get as many organisations through this now, it means that they will be there to kind of pick up the pieces and continue to support people into the future.
We've already mentioned that WV11 has got some great resources if people need it. Where else would you suggest people go to, and give us your social channels too?
Well, I mean, the mutual aid website, there's a mutual aid website for the city. The address is wolvescovid19.uk, I think. But if you Google Wolverhampton Mutual Aid, that website is really good. It's not only got a list on there of all the individual kind of like localised mutual aid groups, because they're popping up in different parts of the city. There's also a map on there that shows you organisations who are providing support. So if people need food, mental health support. There's on the map you can kind of find organisations that are offering support. There's also lots of information on there around how you can set up a group yourself, how you can support your own neighbours. So that's a really good place to start. Likewise, the council website, the Voluntary Sector Council website, we've got links on there, and particularly if people are looking for support in terms of how their charities, their voluntary organisations can kind of get through this and what they need help with. At the Voluntary Sector Council, we set up a volunteer drive 4 weeks ago in coordination with the council. And in 2 weeks, we had 550 people register offering to help, which was amazing. It's taken us some time to get through that number of people, a bit like the NHS one. There's more volunteers than there are actually places to put them at the moment. Yeah. But we have managed to place 100 people with Beacon Centre, 100 people with the council, and other volunteers around with small organisations buying food. So, that need is still there, and it's been really great to see the response.
Oh, absolutely fantastic stuff. wv11.co.uk, of course, your website, and you can be found on socials too. But for now, James Clarke, thank you for having a chat with us.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Now, in this time of lockdown, one of the main things on our mind is food, and whether we're eating too much, the right amount, or just trying something different. Somebody who knows a thing or two about food is Neil from Nellysdelhi. Hello, sir.
Hiya, Jace. How are you?
I'm good. I trust we find you well.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Very
now,
much so.
Not too long before the lockdown started, you were at the market in Wolverhampton, and you had the great opportunity to open a stall down there. Unfortunately, though, lockdown has put things on a bit of a hiatus. So Nellysdelhi is not trading at the minute, but you will be back with some more brilliant vegan food as soon as you're able to, won't you?
So yes, Jason, regarding the lockdown, I think one thing is that I've done so much different types of food and recipes, new ones that we will be putting into Nellysdelhi. Fantastic recipes, full of flavour.
And loads of people have been trying vegan food for the first time, possibly because that the meat stuff that they would normally be buying wasn't initially available, but also because they may be thinking a little bit more about their health during this time when they haven't got everything that is standard in their lives around them.
That's right. It is about being health conscious. Vegan food is obviously a healthy way of living, and if we can provide and give great food vegan-wise, then why not?
Okay, give us a few ideas on fake meals and other things you've been producing whilst you've been in lockdown yourself.
So I've been looking at more South Indian type food. So we've got the masala dosas that we've been trialling out and trying to get that perfected. I'm hoping that I'll be able to sell that soon at Nellysdelhi. I'll have to be careful because some of the products do contain butter in, so we're trying to find a butter alternative in order to get that same kind of texture and taste without actually having to use the butter. There's another thing called, how can I explain it? In English, it's like a cob.
Right.
But it's called Pavbhaji, and it's all like a different flavours of assorted masalas in like a cob.
Oh, right, okay.
But the cob you'll make from fresh, so you make it into like you make a dough out of it. Again, you've got to be careful what ingredients you put in there, and that's a very, very nice popular dish, and it's very, very light. It's very fluffy. It's like a crusty cob, but without the crustiness.
Okay, all right, it sounds interesting. I shall have to pop down and try that one.
Yeah, you'll have to try that. And then it's just different types of. Obviously, we do the vegan chicken biryani. So I'm doing lamb shanks at the moment, so vegan lamb. So we're doing the lamb shanks, which is soya and mushroom.
Yeah.
Combined into that, and then you make it into like a shank, or you put it on a skewer. I've done that a couple of times. So there's all these different recipes that we are trying to perfect to give our customers there.
And this allows people who would normally eat meat to try something different. It also gives a variety of flavours for those who are vegan 24/7. The ideas that you come up with, I mean, I've tried your sweet and sour chicken in the past when we were doing an event down at the main market in the city before Nellysdelhi actually opened, just on the in the stand on the outer facing part of the market, and that was absolutely fab. And most of the time it's not discernible from a sweet and sour chicken or something like that, which means that, you know, all the excuses people come up with, oh, I don't like the taste, I don't like the texture, actually, that's all gone, and we can have something that's both healthy and also does that little bit more for the environment too.
That's right. That's completely right, Jason. What we try to do, and you know, as I've said to you loads of times before, we make it from our heart. We put all our motivation, put all our guts into it. We want to perfect it, because if you're going out to a restaurant, the first thing you want to do, you want to be impressed by the food. If I go to a restaurant, that's the first thing I'd like to be impressed by the food. Mm-hmm. So if you put in your own personal touch on it and you're perfecting it, and you're putting so much hard work into obtaining and getting them flavours correct, then yeah, definitely, 100%.
Well, I mean, keep up the good work. Looking forward to seeing Nellysdelhi back open soon. And I mean, as soon as the market's back at open, I assume you'll be down there doing your stuff again?
Definitely. So we're going to probably do another mini relaunch. Mm-hmm. But let's just see when that's going to be. At the moment, I've had no comeback to when that's going to be. But I think it's probably going to be about a month yet, to be honest. But definitely 100%, mate.
Well, look forward to seeing you down there. I'll get down and we'll try some of your new vegan creations. Not only the fake foods, which bring something for the meat eaters, where they won't be able to tell they're not eating meat, but equally all those other original dishes that you do there to keep those flavours flowing. Anil, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jace. Thank you very much.
Right, that's your lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Back with episode 567 next week. Look forward to having you along then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.